Hello and welcome to another live Google Hangout. I'm Dr. Jay Harness, the Medical Director at Breast Cancer Answers, and here we go again with another exciting live Google Hangout. You know, every now and then serendipity plays an important role in our lives, and my guest today is such a person. He's John Papandrea, who is the developer of the My Breast Cancer Journey app. John, welcome to a live Google Hangout.
Thank you, Dr. Harness. It's my pleasure to be here. Appreciate it.
Oh, it's our pleasure, John. So, John, why don't you give our audience an overview of what's led to the development of this particular app and where you hope to go with it?
Absolutely. So, about 2.5 years ago, we started looking at the needs and requirements of cancer patients in general and also breast cancer patients, and started looking at what were their major frustrations and how can technology help address those frustrations. And as you're doing with Breast Cancer Answers, and as you found when you started Breast Cancer Answers, the need to have education, understanding, not only of the clinical aspects, but also of the emotional aspects of the journey were extremely important. And the lack of specific content that's available to address the specific needs of an individual was one of the major frustrations that we came up against. And then also the desire and the ability to help engage with a support network around that patient with friends and family, etc. So
Well,
we've
John,
created
John, that's terrific. Why don't you share with our audience a little bit your background in healthcare?
Sure. I've got a clinical laboratory background from when I was in Australia, moved to the US about 16 years ago, and have been doing healthcare IT, healthcare strategy work since then. And that all culminated in the creation of Willowglade Technologies, which is responsible for the development of the solution we're talking about today.
Now, is the app, My Breast Cancer Journey app, is it available today to people?
Yes, absolutely. People can go to the iTunes store or to the Google Play Store, depending on their device, and they can either search on Willowglade Technologies or they can search My Breast Cancer Journey, and they will see the app in the store there and can download it, and then they can start using it, obviously.
Well, terrific. Well, we talked about this earlier. Let's do a share my screen, John. And why don't you begin to lead us through how the app works? I'm, as you know, working with you on this. I'm very, very excited about this technology. So let's have you share and let's walk our way through it.
Perfect. Can you share? Can you see my screen now, Jay?
Yes, I can, John. It looks terrific. Thank you.
Perfect. So what we have here is the patient app. There are two apps that we have. There's the patient app and the supporter app. The patient app is organized quite logically with tabs across the bottom that have different functions within each of the tabs. We have a ribbon, which is a motivational ribbon, on this home page or journey status page, and this helps the patient be motivated, because as they go through their journey, the ribbon fills in and they get updated to new stages. If we go on to the next tab, which is the self-care tab, this is really where the main functionality, or one of the areas where the main functionality is made available to the patient. They can record, graph, and display on a graph any number of numeric values that they may want to record. So this helps the patient understand and trend their weight, pain score, their hemoglobin if they're going through various treatments that could impact their hemoglobin, for example. They can also incorporate any comorbidities or any other conditions they may have and record those here in the solution as well. But the most important part of the app is the personalization of the content that's provided to the patient. And we do that through a tool that's in here called My Health Assessments. When the patient first downloads the app, we run them through a process called Start My Journey. And when they start My Journey, we understand where they are in their journey, and it's specific to that individual. whether they're just about to have a biopsy, whether they're just about to have surgery, whether they're having chemo, whether they're in surveillance after they've completed their journey. And so we understand that when they first download and start using the app, and from that point forward, we track forward with them as they go through their journey. And as they go through their journey, new content is delivered to them at the right time during their journey. So here we have, for an example, a patient that has been to see their medical oncologist for the first time, and they will be prompted to input information or ask questions about their visit to the medical oncologist. After they've done that, they will get content that is specific and relevant for their specific case. So here we see a patient that is progesterone receptor positive, has concerns about sexual function, had concerns about what a type of biopsy they had. We also see down the bottom here the documents with a gray background that the patient has actually read. So if we were to tap into one of these documents, we can see the content in here is sometimes quite verbose, but other times is very, very short. And we also have videos in here, we have audio content in here, and we have great images in here as well. We want to make it as easy for the patient to understand their specific concerns, whether it be emotional or clinical. As you know, Jay, we also have questions to ask your doctor in here. So before and after biopsy, before and after surgery, what are the types of things the patient should be asking their, here's an example of that. Here, what are the types of things they should be asking their doctor before or after an event in their journey?
So, John, let's say in the example you've given us, they're just getting ready to do their chemotherapy, but you have similar things then in the app for somebody getting ready to have surgery, or questions to ask their surgeon, or in other words, at each step along this journey, and typically it involves a team of people, and typically it involves often surgeons, medical oncologists, radiation oncologists. So you've been able to have vetted materials that you can have then downloaded to the smart device, correct?
Exactly right. The material is curated, vetted material. It's updated regularly. We update it about every quarter to make sure it's the latest content. We have video content as we mentioned as well. So it's not like we decided to create some content ourselves and it's not clinically accurate. This is vetted, easy to read material that we have in here.
And the primary source for the material, John, is coming from the National Cancer Institute, so patients can really rely, if you will, on the reliability of the content you're sharing?
Absolutely. Yeah, the National Cancer Institute is the primary source of the content that we have in the app.
Now, one of the exciting features in working with you on this is the other app that you have where this content can be shared with friends and family. Do you want to go through some discussion about that?
Absolutely. So you'll see here that if a patient reviews a document and they want to share that document with an invited friend or family, they can tap on the share button up the top there and then select the individual they want to share it with. So whether it be one person or 10 people, depending on the content and how close the member is, they can tap on share, and then that document is shared with that other individual. So then the patient can see who they shared what documents with in their shared documents list. So here is all the documents this particular patient has shared. There are some documents that actually have conversations around them. So if I tap on here, here is a brief conversation between the folks that have been invited and the patient. They get very easy access to the document from here, and here's an example of one of those very good diagrams I was mentioning before. And then on the other side of the equation, the supporter can go in, use the supporter app and can go into their shared documents list and see the list of documents that have been shared only with them. So they don't see all the documents the patient shared, they only see the documents the patient shared with them. and then, as I mentioned, they can have a conversation or a communication about the document. The intent here is to engage the support network to give both the emotional support and help the patient with their day-to-day issues in dealing with their cancer.
Oh, that's terrific, John. So, and just to summarize then, the friends and family download their app, the patient has got her app, and there's
Right.
literally sharing going on back and forth. Now, one of the things I noticed when you had one of the documents up there from the National Cancer Institute, thought I saw a little speaker in the picture there. Do you want to explain, if you can scroll back to one of those? I think there's an audio, in other words, so people learn how to pronounce our fancy words and things like that. There you go. There's a little speaker right up there. And do you want to
Exactly.
explain what that function is?
Exactly. So we have the phonetic spelling of intraductal carcinoma, and for a lot of the definitions and terms, we provide the phonetic spelling, but we also provide an audio file so that the patient can hear how to pronounce a particular term. And this is confidence building for the patient, so as they speak with their friends, as they speak with their physician, they can then help themselves by being confident about, this is how I pronounce this particular term.
Yep.
So if I tap that, it would, on my iPad here, you would be able to hear the device say intraductal carcinoma.
Oh, fantastic. Now, John, one of the things you talked about in your intro of all this is the psychological support of patients. What sort of resources do you have for the psychological support?
Right. So there, as you know, Jay, as a patient goes through their cancer journey, there is a significant emotional distress that the patient goes through. Not only is it about the diagnosis, but it's about what does it mean for me as an individual, as a sexual person. What does it mean for my hair loss? What are all the things that that are going to happen to me as I go through my journey? And so a lot of the content we have incorporated into the solution helps the patient understand not only the reason for those things happening, but how to address those things. So, for example, you can see on the screen here things about spirituality and religion. We also have content on depression, anxiety, understanding those types of things, and understanding how to potentially address those things with yoga or meditation or other such items.
Oh, that's fantastic, John. Now, while we're in share your screen, is there any other of the visuals you want to, before we get out of share my screen?
I think that's pretty much it. Just one thing I do want to mention is that the patient, once they invite their friends and family, they can have a one-on-one conversation with them. So it's just a conversation between the patient and that individual. Or they can have a group conversation with all of their friends and family that they invited, and that's in the group conversation function. One final thing, we have incorporated this public support aspect, and so we see here a list of public support networks that this particular patient has selected, and there's a list that the patient can choose from. And we also continue to update that as well.
Yeah,
so that's kind of...
And we're very, very pleased that Breast Cancer Answers is one of those public forums that you're linking people to. John, when people sign on, there's always going to be the question of confidentiality of information, the security of the site, issues like that. So do you want to share with folks that their information will be secure? And also, I believe, you've asked them whether their information could be utilized at some point in the future.
Right. So there's actually no information stored on the device. We don't store the patient's information on the device just in case it gets lost or someone tries to hack into the actual device itself. All the traffic, the information going back to the cloud or to the server, to the device backwards and forwards is encrypted. So it's as secure as anyone else can be, your banks, for example. Physical security of the data is also very important, and this is something that's often overlooked. So we have the data, the servers in a secure, environment, and the data itself is behind many firewalls. So it's difficult to get to, even if you knew how to get to it.
And then also, when people sign on for the first time, I think you do ask them a question about
Right.
whether they would be willing to share their information, obviously, without any name recognition or things of that sort. Do you want to explain that function as well?
Yeah, there are two options actually. The first option is, and the patient has to opt in to either one of these, so they're turned off by default. The first option is to allow the patient, or the patient gives us permission to share their contact information with research organizations that are conducting clinical trials that they may be a candidate for. So in order for the clinical trial organization to contact them, we have to be able to provide their information, but we only do that if the patient gives us permission to do so. And the second opt-in is to allow us to de-identify or strip away anything that identifies the patient as an individual, and pull all their data together with all the patients, so we can then start using that with research organizations to analyze trends, impact of treatment, impact of emotional conditions, etc., on the patient.
Yep, very good. Now, one of the real milestones here recently with what you've been doing, this is now available in Spanish. Do you want to, not only here in the
Yeah.
U.S., obviously, we have a large Spanish population, particularly where I am in Orange County, California, but throughout Central, South America and otherwise. Share with us your Spanish version.
So yeah, we have versions in English and Spanish. We deliberately built the solution and the platform to cater to multiple languages simultaneously. And as you said, the app, both apps, both solutions are available in English and Spanish in about 45 countries around the world. English in other English-speaking countries outside the US, Australia, New Zealand, UK, South Africa, and in Spanish in the Latin American countries and other Spanish-speaking countries around the world as well. So we're very proud of that.
It's terrific, absolutely terrific, and I know you've been starting to create some videos in Spanish so that those are available
Yes.
as part of the app as well. Well,
Right.
John, when I first met you, I was really thrilled and excited about this technology. Can you give us a little bit of feedback, those who have downloaded it, what people have been sharing with you, or feedback you've been getting from other groups like the American Cancer Society and others?
Well, the feedback has all been extremely positive. There is really nothing that personalizes the journey with the patient as they go through their journey like our solution does, and this is the consistent feedback that we've been getting. So, and we're working with a number of organizations here in the US and in starting to work with organizations in Europe as well to make it available in European languages apart from Spanish to patients over there as well.
Yeah, and as you and I have discussed, we're also hoping that individual institutions, for instance, like
Right.
my hospital, St. Joseph Hospital, might take the app and then personalize it for their breast cancer patients here. You want to explain how that might work? I know that's one of the goals down the road for the app.
Exactly. So we built this app on a platform. The platform is very, very flexible, so we can actually brand the app so it is a St. Joseph's app or a, whoever implements it for their patient's app. They review the pathways, they review the content, they review the times of delivery, etc. So it's consistent with the pathways that they execute on for their patients in their organization.
Well, John Papandrea, I think this has just been another one of our fantastic Google Hangouts. Any final thoughts you want to share with our audience about, and reminding everybody it's called My
Right.
Breast Cancer Journey app, available at iTunes and also Google Play. John, any sort of final wrap-up thoughts you have for our audience?
First of all, I want to thank you for hosting me today. I really appreciate it very much. If the folks want to learn more about the app before they download it, they can do that. We have a website, cancerjourneyapps.com, all one word, and they can learn about the app there. And of course, from that website, there is a link to download it for iOS, Apple, or for Android devices as well. That's also in Spanish and English as well, that website.
Well, John Papandrea, you have a great day. To our audience
Thank you.
out there, thank you for the privilege of your time. Stay tuned for future live Google Hangouts. Have a wonderful day.